At the Maine Wildlife Park in Gray, you're provided with a unique opportunity to take a really close look at Maine's wildlife in a way that's safe for both you and the animals. Today on Your Hometown, we're taking a really close look.
Welcome to the Wildlife Park. Wow!
Every time you come in here, you meet nothing but happy people. Everybody's happy here.
What a great place, really. I love it.
Can't get enough, huh?
Can't get enough.
Sometimes you just can't get enough of the Maine Wildlife Park in Gray. As you walk in, you realize the park is different than a zoo.
We have only species that are native to Maine, and the park is owned and operated by the Maine Department of Inland Fisheries and Wildlife, a state agency, and we're really a wildlife education center.
The animals here are formerly wild, but are permanent residents of the park.
They are not pets whatsoever. They're not domesticated. They're wild animals. Because they're injured or orphaned, somehow they're not releasable. They seem really healthy, but they're socialized to people. So you don't want a wild black bear knocking on your door and ransacking your fridge.
Right.
And it's not, that's just what they know. They don't know to be scared of people.
Because the animals aren't afraid of people, visitors can see them up close in a way they may not be able to do in the wild. The animals act as ambassadors for their species at the park, which is owned and operated by the Maine Department of Inland Fisheries and Wildlife. The staff here loves animals and takes great care of their residents. But they remember that often the best thing for wild animals is to let them stay wild.
Fawns are born, they're out there in the woods. When they're born, they don't have scent. So mom leaves, they don't have babysitters to go watch the kids for them. Mom leaves to go eat and she says, stay in this area. And the fawn listens, but someone comes along and thinks they're doing the right thing, where really they're kidnapping them if mom's around. There are situations where car hits or injuries, but a lot of times this time of year for small mammals or birds, anything, mom's around.
So they should contact a rehabber. They shouldn't just bring them into the park.
Correct.
You don't want someone coming in with Bambi on a leash?
No.
Okay.
Too many people do that, and then the doe's wandering around the woods wondering where her kid is.
The Maine Wildlife Park is a multifaceted experience for all ages. Visitors can plan on spending the day at the park and are not only permitted, but encouraged to bring along a lunch. Their shelters are able to be reserved for parties or reunions. The park is continuing to expand and update its facilities. They are in the process of phasing out some of the older exhibits to create new exhibits which more closely mimic the environment the animals will be found in the wild.
For many people, this might be one of the only porcupines that they see in a long time or ever. And this is, for a lot of people, the only glimpse that they're going to get of this species. That's why it's important for us to try to mimic their natural habitat so they get a feel for that species and make it as much of an educational experience for them as possible.
Looks like this ambassador's a little sleepy.
Yeah, he is.
This expansion, along with the daily run and maintenance of the park, would not be possible without the support of volunteers and friends of the park. This nonprofit group is crucial in funding the construction of new exhibits, as well as many programs year-round.
If it wasn't for the volunteers, the park would not be what it is now. All the landscaping, the flowers, everything is done strictly by volunteers. They come day in and day out to plant, to water, take care of them. We always need volunteers.
The Maine Wildlife Park offers many special programs throughout the season, including a winter pass for photographers, which allow a behind-the-scenes photo tour of the animals.
I mean, you could spend your whole life out in the woods and never get that perfect shot of a bear or a fish or whatever it is you're trying to get shots of. So in a couple hours or less, you can get all your shots, and it's a really neat opportunity.
The number of programs the park offers is growing, but for the staff and volunteers, often it is the kids' education groups that make the largest impact.
For them to learn and you see them pick up on something, a lot of times at the end of a tour, I'll ask them a question that we went over, and with them raising their hands and smiling, knowing the answer, it's really cool to see that.
They get surprised at some of the strangest things. I take them around and show them bobcats and the lynx, and what they love to see is turtles, little turtles. Over in the pond, there's a mother duck and 14 baby ducks, and they love baby ducks. One of the kids today all the way, are we going to see a blue jay? Are we going to see a blue jay? And, well, we did see a blue jay as it happened. It flew around.
So it was a good trip. Lynx, blue jays and all.
It's always a good trip. The kids always say, thank you, Mr. Clark. And I always say thank you to the kids because they make it a lot of fun.
For more information on the Maine Wildlife Park, log on to their website. It's mainewildlifepark.com, or there's a link on myfoxmaine.com.